Hi. Oh my gosh, it's Thursday.
Hi.
This is our Thursday podcast.
Yes, and she
I
has a shortened bio for you to start with.
I'll shut
You gonna
usually
do it?
I can you know what? I can do this, guys. I want to make sure we're all on. Okay,
This is our Thursday podcast.
you go with Cam. This is Conversations with Cam, hosted by Cameron Rogers.
Even though her mom calls her Cammy.
That's so
Yes.
cute. You have a podcast dedicated to having honest conversations, prioritizing your well-being, and reminding you that no matter what you're feeling, you're not alone. Whether you're knee deep in diapers or just trying to keep your sanity intact, this show's for you. Expect laughs, maybe a few tears, as all of us have occasionally, and hopefully some breakthroughs along the way for more motherhood and mental health talk with a side of cursing. Love that. Follow Cameron on social and welcome her to our show, please. Cameron Rogers. How are you?
Hi. Thank you
We
for
just-
that.
Well, we just did a podcast with you and we got into some
Thanks.
I'm just curious off the what do you say off the
Off the top. Off
yeah,
the hop.
off the hop
Off the hop.
Off the
Um,
hop.
so
I don't think I've
you-
heard that. Yeah.
We just made it up.
So you have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Yes.
How did you get into? Because I feel like there's so many moms that are and people that obviously need to hear other moms talking about all this kind of stuff. But your kids are pretty young for you to already be into the podcast world and doing amazing in the podcast world. How did you decide that you'd be able to do this?
Well, thank you so much. I started my show 5 years ago. So like before kids, it's just had different iterations and now it's evolved. So I was doing, it's a very long story, but to make it short, I was working in sales and trading, living a completely different life. And I was dealing with digestive health issues and I started cooking. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And it was kind of the era of the like wellness influencer was being born and like
Mhm.
food porn accounts.
Mhm.
And so I started just posting recipes and food that I was prepping for work on an Instagram called Freckled Foodie. And I just never shared my face. So it was like a completely different and separate part of my life. And then as I started doing that, I was like, oh, I really enjoy this. I was so interested in the social media aspect, in the wellness life, all of that. I started sharing more and more. And I really wanted to try and make it a thing. But this was before influencing is what it is today. Like there were some people doing it full time, but it wasn't like what we see now. And I kind of accepted this will just be something I do for fun. I love my job. I ended up getting hit by a car. And that kind of like rocked everything for me. So I was on disability from work. And
You got hit by a car while you were
Yeah.
walking?
yeah,
Like,
I was crossing the street.
yeah.
And it turned and it just like shouldn't have. It didn't
And
see
how-
me. It was snowing. It was dark. I had a bad concussion, but I was fine. Like physically, my body was fine, but my brain was not. And during that time, I was like, I'll never be this young again. I'll never have this like least amount of responsibility. I come from a privileged background that I could take the leap of faith. So I did. And my content was focused still on food, but I started talking more about my mental health. And then I became more interested in that avenue of content. So I started leaning more into the mental health part of things. And then when I became pregnant, I was so blown away by how different the reality was than my expectation in a negative way. Like I thought I was going to love being pregnant and I just didn't. And I had started this series, like, what the fuck is happening to my body? Because I was mind blown by the changes, whether it was like the excess hair, the smell, my nipples were huge, the veins. And that was when I really started, I guess, like the avenue of content that I've now more leaned into in terms of pregnancy, postpartum, motherhood. And then the show has kind of just evolved from there.
2 questions. What were your
Yeah.
digestive issues?
Oh God, everything. Honestly, I had at the time it was like constantly SIBO, IBS-C, so constipated, bloat to the point where I looked like I was 4 months pregnant when I woke up. It was like wild. And so much of it now looking back, I can assess was tied to anxiety, and B, I had mercury poisoning, which is so fucking random
How did
for
you
my
get
journey.
mercury poisoning?
Salmon. I
No,
don't
they
know.
think
I
it was
made that
from
up.
getting a metal filling removed. I honestly don't know, but my levels were like so insanely high, like way, way, way higher than what they're supposed to be. And that was what was causing this like area for all of these things to happen, like even getting shingles and like SIBO, all this weird shit. And I did chelation therapy, and like a lot of it was fixed.
What's chelation therapy?
It's when I have such a weird medical journey when I actually sit down and think about it. You can do it through IV or you can do it in pill format, and it basically strips you of like all of these. It strips you of the mercury, but it also can't like disassociate from nutrients. So for like 3 days or 4 days of the week, 3 or 4, I forget which one was which, I would take these pills to like strip and bind onto the mercury to release. So like you'd have to drink a shitload of liquids to pee out. You'd have to do infrared saunas to sweat it out. And then the other 4 days, this like really intense vitamin regimen to replenish everything else. It was
Did you get to sue anybody for that?
No, I'm sure. Maybe I don't know.
The dentist, go back.
What is it like? Doctor, you go under the doctor and watch, like you like they watch you while your nutrients.
Yeah, I was doing. Yeah, I was with like a functional medicine doctor.
Wow,
That's crazy. Yeah, but anyway, that's how I got
your
here.
concussion or after your concussion?
Before.
And then how long were you out with your concussion for?
I was out of work for 2 months. I think I was on disability. Yeah.
Wow. And what happened? What did you do during those 2 months?
Well, that's kind of what led me to this. It's when I started and learned and like began my meditation practice. I was journaling, listening to like 10,000 podcasts because I couldn't really read or like be on my phone much. The issue was that like at a certain point, I did feel much better, but I would then get hit with a really intense migraine. And because of the intensity of my job and like the fact that it was just staring at a screen all day long, my neurologist was like, I want you symptom free for X amount of days before you return to that. Should I have maybe like tried to work in a softer re-entry? Because again, it was then really hard even when I did go back. I ended up quitting right after I went back. But yes, but that just wasn't an option at the time.
Do you miss that world? Like that world of that working world that's different than this working world?
No. Overall, no. Do I miss certain things? Of course. Like after I had a kid, I was like, wow, maternity leave would have been really fucking nice. Like I worked for myself. I wasn't able to get any benefits through, our country or my state. So that sucks. And feeling the pressure to like keep having to work while, all of that would have been really nice to have a paid leave that I would have had I stayed at that company. I miss like the consistency sometimes and the team aspect, but otherwise, no, I don't miss it.
When you were like a double income family and then you went to a single, do you feel the pressure to like supplement it now that you are on your own, or do you just do this for fun, or do you feel the pressures of working because you're an entrepreneur now?
No, now, I mean, so it's so interesting when I think about like our finances because we've been together for so long. Out of college, obviously our finances were separate at that time. We were dating, but like I was making a lot more in the industry that I was in. Then when we were engaged was when I quit my job and took this like complete leap of faith. So that was obviously a discussion that both of us like made. And the goal was always that this would become a job. It wasn't like leave and go have fun on Instagram. And now we're at a complete 50-50 income household.
Amazing.
So yeah, there's definitely pressure, I feel, because it's my job and like I'm in charge of it. And that pressure came up a lot internally during like postpartum, trying to carve maternity leaves, which like I was very adamant about the second time for my mental health, and I did successfully, and I'm proud of myself. But yeah, I mean, there's always pressure, unfortunately.
Do you feel the pressure to like perform on social media and like, because we started like 13 years ago and there was no website video capabilities online. Like there was no video. So when people are like, how'd you get into this? I was like, we started before it was even an influencer. They weren't even called that. There was no title. So I feel like it was never an intent for a job for us. It became one, which was lucky. So I feel our relationship with online is really so different than people growing into it. Like have you watched the Mormon Wives, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives?
No.
The only reason I say it is because they truly are the first parenting generation I've watched online who grew up online. So what they share
Oh,
is
that's interesting.
so
And they're the breadwinners.
yeah, and they're so, you can tell so much that they grew up online. It's just so interesting to watch because everyone shares everything online. There's really no boundaries. So but when you see it on TV, you're like, what? It was super
Yeah.
from a psychology perspective. But do you feel, because you're obviously younger than us, the this pressure to perform and the likes and the comments and the metrics?
I don't feel pressure to perform. And I think that is because I don't feel like I'm performing. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I was very adamant when I started this. At first, like, you never saw my face, it was like all food. And then when I decided I was going to start sharing more about myself, whatever, it was very much in the like filtered era of Instagram. And I promised myself that I would never set this like unrealistic standard in order to show up. So I was going to show up no matter what I looked like, no matter what my background was, no matter what the lighting was, because if I strived for this perfection, I would never do anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to let perfection get in the way of progress. I'm just going to be me. And like, if you don't like it, then you don't fucking like it. And that's fine. And no one's going to like everyone. There are people who my friends love who I'm like, their content's not for me. And that's just reality. So I don't feel the pressure to perform. I feel pressure in many other avenues of this business, but it's never to perform because the style of my content is very much like FaceTime-esque, where I just kind of put my phone up and I talk, where like I could do that all fucking day if someone let me. It's more so like organizing my thoughts into a digestible piece of content rather than just having my phone up and speaking all day long.
That's so good. Because you grew up, I'm assuming, when did you get social media? Like, how old were you?
Instagram came about my senior year of college, but we thought it was an app to like edit photos. It was before it was like a social app, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we had Facebook, I want to say junior year of high school, but like in college, we would go out with our digital cameras and take 60 photos, plug it in the next morning and upload every single one, not even look at them, to an album like Thursday night, 10/21. Like it wasn't what it is now.
So you sort of like you dodged it. Like you sort of
dodged that.
You dodged it. So you didn't, because I wonder how many, we hear a lot of people worry about like talking about trolls and talking about, their content performing in a good way. Because if you're making money off of it and you are the breadwinners like this TV show, you need it to do well. And I'm like, this is such a different generation of people because you have to be likable if you're the breadwinner. You have to make it go, right? Like, but it has to.
I will challenge that. Like, yes, I think that is something I talk about in therapy all the time, of this. Like, we all have the innate desire to be liked, right? Like, that's just who we are as humans. And I think our job has confused that even more so because you're literally seeing who potentially likes you, and you might be getting messages of clearly people who dislike you. And, I've gone through many journeys of how I handle that. And I finally feel I'm in a place that I'm comfortable with. And that's taken a lot.
Tell us how you handle that. How the negative comments, and what would people say to you?
Oh my God, the list goes on and on and on. It's like, I feel like I don't know. I spark heavy emotions in people and I'm fine with that. I think I always have. But there was a point in my life where I would almost like seek it because I wanted the confrontation. Like I used to love if someone would like say something so that I could like throw my gloves off and like go at them. And now I come at it from such a place of empathy of like, I'm really sorry that you're that angry about something in your life, that you would feel that strongly about something that really doesn't matter. Like, I got trolled on this video for saying that I stopped breastfeeding. And like, that's so crazy to me that like someone would care so much about someone's decision to feed their baby. Like, I really see it in that light now where I'm like, I cannot imagine ever getting that angry over something that someone else is doing, to A, have those feelings and thoughts, but B, to put them out somewhere to that person, and C, I think so many people are just seeking community, and the people who are angry and doing the trolling, whatever, like I really think that they're just seeking connection. because if I see something that I don't like on the internet, like I text my friends. I'm not going into someone's comments. I'm not going to some forum.
I never
you
actually
have
thought of that.
people.
It's like they don't have no one to
They
talk
don't
to.
have people.
And
so
then,
like,
and then they like it when then they make the comment and then someone's like, I'm so glad you said that. I felt exactly the same way. And all of a sudden these two are at it.
Like-
yeah. So like for me, I think
they go
about
to
it in
Reddit.
that way. Right. So I'm like, I'm so sorry that that's where your community is, but I get your desire to have a community.
I never actually thought of it that way, but you're so right. They have no one else to send it to because most of us would just be like,
Text
dude,
your
what's
friend.
going on there? Yeah,
Totally.
you would go right to someone directly. You wouldn't go online and post that. And it's interesting because we're in the mom community and a lot of them are moms, right? Like they are.
Oh, it blows my mind.
And they didn't grow up. A lot of people are like, how do you handle trolls? And I'm like, well, number one, I barely read the comments because we don't have time to go back and read them, which is someone's like, did you see all your comments? I'm like, not really, but should I go back and read it? Because we've never been big comment readers. I don't know why, but our kids are definitely comment readers. And I'm like, I don't really have time.
Like,
I don't know what
Mom,
to say to you. I'm like, oh, okay.
What they said, like, isn't that so mean? Did that hurt your feelings? I'm like, well, I didn't see it. I go back and I said, like, oh, God. Oh, but obviously, the three of us are coming from a place where we're obviously, like when you say, like, my lady doesn't need to be perfect. I don't have to have this. Like, we have this confidence that probably is a reason that we were able to grow and get an audience because people just feel comfortable because they can sense that we feel comfortable.
Well, when you like yourself, you don't have to dislike other people.
Totally.
Because you really can not drive with them, but when you're just not concerned about other people because you're concerned about yourself.
I also think just on the performance note, like I would feel so overwhelmed by trying to be someone online that I wasn't, that it would like be so much more work.
I don't even
can't.
know.
I think you're onto something though, that it's weird because it's like if you just show up as you are and someone doesn't like you, I guess there's nothing you can do about it. But if you're performing and you're like trying to get likes and people don't like it, it would hurt so much more because
then you're going to figure out what you need to do to change it.
Because you're
and
trying
then you're
going to
act a certain way.
I guess that's what it is. But wow, I feel like we really solved something today, guys.
When you talk to people and they're like with with their work, with their social, if they're an influencer in social media and they say like, oh my gosh, guys, like I don't even know how you keep up with this. It's so exhausting being able to like, how do you post that much? And like, what do you have to plan before? And it's like we don't have to worry about that because what naturally just comes to our head, we just feel like we can just say their job is so much harder. Like even like
so much harder.
It's so much harder to be what the people need them to be. Whereas we could just be us and the people will come.
No, I'm fighting off posting like 15 TikToks a day because my brain never shuts the fuck up and I have so many thoughts. But like if I had to create a specific type of content that took planning and then like that, I would never do it. I couldn't.
We're the same. With ADHD, here we go for the win. Let's take a quick break and I want to ask you a question. So on likability and performance, and I mean, you have younger kids and they're going to be growing up in the digital world. Their mom will be online. The kids obviously are going to have opinions of what you share and they will go back to early podcasts about your sex life and they will share it in their 7th and grade 8 class 100%. I know. I'm just giving you forewarning.
They brought our books to school and they would have snippets of our book or audiobook saying things. I actually just did a story right before this and I was showing my new bra. And then I went on the next story, said, just so for everyone who's out there, it says, your mom is in her bra on Instagram. It is 10 times the coverage than all your bikinis. So just sit down. You don't need to tell my son, oh, I saw your mom's bra. It's huge.
Yeah.
But even if it was just a nipple cover, why are you on my content?
Why are you there?
I don't mean to tell you that, but yes, it will happen. It's going to happen. They go back as far as they can. Do you think, I know you can't imagine, it's hard to imagine when they're older, but do you see your content editing itself in terms of what you will they have an opinion in the content you share, or is it
their opinion matter?
Okay, well, I actually have thought about this, to be honest, in certain ways. I have chosen not to share my kids' faces or names on my platform. And like, I hope that when they're older and they look back, that that's something that they really appreciate. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. I just don't think, I mean, I could go on for days about how certain kids are used for literal clout in
Oh,
today's
yeah.
world. And it
Yeah.
breaks my heart, and performance and likes and all the things that we just talked about.
Money for money.
I literally thought about this morning. Like, my job would be 100 times easier if I did share my kids, because the amount of videos and ridiculous things I have and cuteness that would just eat up likes, and the way that I would be able to film content without having to have my kids somewhere else. Like, my hours of filming are kind of limited, and I have to structure it a certain way.
You're so smart. You're so smart.
I just don't like, will the backs of their heads be in photos and stuff? Yes. Will my son's voice be off the camera sometimes? Yes. But I just feel like that's a boundary that I've set that I really personally am happy with. And I think they will appreciate when they're older. The other thing is, like, I think about this whenever I post something. Will I be comfortable with my kids hearing this at some point in their lives? And I remember posting a video talking about, before I gave birth, I was really nervous of, like, to my second, like, how will I ever love something as much as I love my first? Like, is it possible? I just can't comprehend. I'm really nervous for, like, how my heart will ever expand. And I posted a video. Yeah, I posted a video after I gave birth, like a few weeks, being like, it's so interesting because the love is the same depth, but it's different. And I got a few people like really insulted, being like, I'm a second, this will haunt them, whatever.
Oh, God.
And obviously there was a lot of projection there, but I did a follow-up being like, I think about my kids seeing this. And as a second child who feels incredibly loved by their parents, I'm okay with what I said, because my love with my first felt like that was who made me a mom. And that was what, like, really got me through some of the darkest mental days I've ever had in my life during my first postpartum. And my second is getting such a different love because I've had the experience. I'm not the anxious, depressed wreck I was with my first. And he's more like, we're having fun that I never had with my first. So it is a different love. And I'm not saying that that feeling is going to be different for their entire lives, but as a baby, it feels different.
Oh,
And
yeah.
don't you also think you have to learn who they are in order to have the relation, like to love them?
Totally.
Like,
Of course, my relationship's not going to be the same with a 3-week-old and a 3-year-old.
oh my God.
I've
And
known
when
it
mine
for
first came out,
years.
I was waiting. I'm like, when's it going to happen? When am I going to start crying? Because like if I'm like this, nothing, huh? I had nothing. And I remember I had to get to know her in order to develop a bond and have, I loved her.
Okay.
I loved her. Of course I loved her. But with all of them, I needed to experience who they were to like get to know, just like my dog.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was just thinking about the dog.
Yeah, just like
Everyone wants to return their dog when they first get them.
No,
It's like,
I love
what
her, but
have I done?
I didn't know her until and then we got to know her, and then I liked her. I was like, I'll keep you safe. And now I'm like, oh my God, I've got more. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, you have to build love. Some people are not, get the baby and start bawling their eyes out, and oh my God, my life has changed. My life did not change except for the minutia of putting car seats in the car and not being able to walk out the door for the grocery store and not sleeping. I wasn't like,
right.
And you know what? And then if you have the people are worried about the second, but then what if you have a third and a fourth? You're going to love them all completely differently. And even
different times,
and even till forever, I'm not going to love them all the same.
Like you're gonna, there's no competition. There's no competition.
But I do feel like I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I mean, the sex aspect of things,
you're gonna have to
something that I'll have to like.
But you know what? You might have to think about it. But you are very sex positive and open about it, and so
So I don't know if
you're not offended by that. Yeah.
And what about the other half of your family? Like I know we don't talk about husbands, but like in-laws, are they
okay with you?
Do they?
Yeah.
We
know they are like my biggest supporters
of sex positive. I love this.
Sorry. I thought you meant of my content. I don't know.
I mean, like,
it is part of your content.
I mean, if that's part of your content.
No, like my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, I don't even know if he's on Instagram. I don't think he is. My mother-in-law is like so incredibly supportive of my stuff. And like, she will send me the sweetest text messages about certain things. Like if I'm launching anything, she's buying it. Like she is such a gem. Again, like I've known her since I was 15, which is such a gift. And she will she'll send me incredibly sweet personal messages if like there's a big accomplishment or something. And my father-in-law, yes, supports me, but it's like not his style of content. When I interviewed Jason Kelsey, he thought it was the coolest thing in the fucking world. So like that hit his world.
But you know what else I
But
find with like our mother-in-laws or our mother's generation, and for the ones that do receive our openness positively, a lot of them say, and your mother-in-law might experience this too, is like, I wish that I had somebody talking about all
I
these
get
things.
60-year-old women messaging me this every single day. Like I have a very interesting like 60-year-old community that is up in my DMs all the time being like, I see so much of myself during my 30s in you, and like I wish I had this. Which is great. But again, it could have gone a different way if I had a different mother-in-law, I'm sure. She'd be like, stop licking your fucking vibrator. But we just don't talk about that. We don't need to.
She licks her vibrator. Wow. Now
online. I mean, that's a whole nother.
Wow, we'll have you back for that. How did you get to Jason Kelsey?
Oh my God. It was the greatest moment of my life. Okay.
No, it was not the greatest moment of your life.
That's a real stretch.
The next one is the best moment of my life. I love that though.
Well, I did tell Jason that my husband cried harder. We went when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. We saw them. We were there, and he cried harder in that moment than he did at either of my deliveries or our wedding. And that is
a huge Eagles fan.
I think he's a lot of men.
Die hard.
I think he's a lot of men, because I feel like a lot of men, that's how they, I think they connect with.
I mean, it was the only Eagles championship. So it was like a huge fucking deal. And the fact that he was there, it was like his lifelong dream. We were with his brother. Anyway, Jason came to me in the most incredible. Okay, how into like the universe woo-woo shit are you guys?
We go there. Okay. We go there.
Because I am very into it. And I've recently been doing this like subconscious manifestation course. And I feel like it's untapped this version of me that I'm so fucking excited by. And so I was on my way to the most, at that point, exciting interview of my career yet, Camilla McConaughey, who I know you guys interviewed too, who I love. And I was on the plane and I got an email randomly from an ESPN account. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I grew up playing sports my entire life, all through college. Wanted to be a sports broad. I played lacrosse and soccer, and then lacrosse in college. And my husband played sports his whole life. He played basketball in college. Sports are a huge part of our lives. And I always wanted to be a sports broadcaster. So when I got this email, I was like, what is ESPN emailing me about? And it was a member of my community who had been following me for like she's been here since the beginning. And she was like, I work in PR at ESPN. I would love to invite you to ESPN Media Day in our headquarters in Connecticut. Like, can you come? I know you're a big Eagles fan. So to sweeten the deal, like Jason Kelsey speaking on a few panels, I can try to see if I can get you a one-on-one. And I was like, fuck yes, I am there. And while I have you, can I pitch a like Conversations with Cam on the Go episode if I can get him one-on-one, or any other talent that you think would be a good fit? And she basically does like in-house PR. Shout out Lily Blum. Does in-house PR for the NFL analysts, which Jason now is. And so she sent me over some bios of other people. I was like, yes, I would love to do XYZ. Get 10 minutes with each. I sent over my questions. Of course, like going into it, I was freaking out, but I didn't tell anyone except for like Joe and a few friends, because you never know if it's really going to happen. I'm like, I could go, something could come up. I'm not going to believe this until I'm literally standing with him with a microphone.
Did you go by yourself?
Yeah, I asked if I could actually bring Joe because it's like his dream, but they couldn't allow plus ones.
Yeah.
So I get there.
He's your co-host for the day.
Yeah, I do all of like the media day. It was so awesome. And then at the end of the day, they were like, all right, quickly, let's do your one-on-one. And then like he got pulled into a different meeting. They were like, do you mind waiting? I was like, bitch, I will sit here all fucking day. I will literally be here until dinner time if you'll have me. And then I got to do it. And it was amazing. I mean, it was so great. I'm honored that he agreed to this. I'm still kind of like shook by how this got passed, but whatever, I'll take it. And I just felt like he was so approachable and kind and heartfelt. And that was a really amazing career moment for me, in the sense of it felt very affirming, but also like I came back, and we were supposed to be on family vacation at my parents' beach house that whole week. So like I left Joe with the kids to go to Connecticut to do this, and I came back to him, and our kids and my parents, and I was showing them everything. And to watch, my mom's my biggest fan, without a doubt. Like,
So
it's
cute.
outrageous. But to watch my dad and Joe watch these interviews and just be like so blown away was a really awesome moment for me.
That's
Did
so
you
cool.
ask them like sports questions?
I asked, honestly, more personal questions. And then I asked about the Eagles, obviously.
Oh
Oh
my.
my God, Joe must have just died telling all his friends.
I know. Well, he sent a photo of me at the NFL live desk to his group chat, being like, "Coming at you live Monday," and they were all like, "What are you talking about? What's going on?" I was like, "Wait,
Oh
now
my
they're gonna
God,
think
that's
I'm a fucking
so
broadcaster."
cute. That's so cute. He's such a big fan.
Yeah, he's great. Well, you know what's interesting? He's not on social media, so which is such a gift.
And that's not a red flag because you've known him
No.
since he was 15.
Right.
So like,
No,
you
it's
know,
like my greenest flag, actually.
Yeah.
I love men not on social media, but he will like go on Instagram.com/Cameron Oaks Rogers every day to like look. He can't see my stories, which is honestly very nice, but he'll like look that way, and he listens to every show the minute it comes out in the morning.
Your husband listens to all your shows?
Every episode, and I get text recaps of his thoughts. Like, I really loved this question. I thought you did so great with this. If he knows the guest, he sends them personal texts of how amazing they
Oh
were.
my God, he's the
No,
cutest
he's
thing in the
like,
world.
does he give you
really
what
into
does he give you feedback?
it.
Like like constructive feedback?
Yeah, like the other day, whether it's like technical, like the other day, he was like, I know there's probably nothing you can do. I just want to let you know, like, your audio is a little low for some reason. There was like a slight buzz. Or he'll be like, I thought it was good, but, it definitely wasn't my favorite episode. The guest, whatever. And you, maybe this. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But do you ever get okay? Would he ever come
Yeah.
and work for you full time, or could you never
God,
work with-
no.
Okay,
Absolutely not. Never
Does he
happening.
go
Not at all.
to the office? Does he leave the house? Or does he
Once
work
a
from
week?
home? It's so crazy.
He goes to the office only once a
Once
week.
It's
So
the
many
best
people are
gift
like that now.
for our relationship. It is truly, we talk about it literally every day. We talk about this is such a privileged take because COVID was so fucked for so many of us, but in a weird way, gave us the greatest gift of our lives for our family specifically, for him to be able to work from home because he is so involved with our children in the way that he physically would not be able to had he been in an office and what I was raised with.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What okay, I hate this question, but I'm like curious. I'm actually curious. What's next? Like what
do you want to be when you grow up?
what do you like where do you
What do I want to do?
Yeah.
Honestly, but the podcast is like one of my favorite avenues of my work. I love
How many
it so
times
much.
do you release it?
Once every week, every Wednesday.
Okay.
Hump day.
And hump day. I love the interviewing aspect, and I feel like I've really tried to lean into more of that. So even recently, I've been getting more like panel interview opportunities outside of the show, which I love doing that. Like, I mean, dream would be like doing a red carpet at the ESPYs. Like, are you kidding?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
I don't know pop culture. So don't put me on like the Golden Globes. I wouldn't know shit. Like, I can't tell you a celebrity's name, but I feel like I could jive with athletes better. I'm actually releasing, I don't know when this episode's coming out, but I am releasing a product within the next, I want to say 6 weeks, hopefully, that it would get to your door. No, honestly, one day. Are you kidding?
I was like, well, you should actually
love a collaborative vibrator.
Lot of money in that, babe. A lot of money in vibrators.
One of my most linked items in the history of every affiliate link I've done is a vibrator. But it's a product that like I've always wanted, blending avenues of how I fill my cup and self-care and like prioritizing my mental health in the form of a book of sorts. And I think, well, when is this coming out? Do you know?
When do you want it to come out?
I think I will. Well, I'll just use, it's blending, journaling, adult coloring, affirmations, and a bunch of things that have really intensely helped me on my mental health journey, and I think will help many. So I'm really excited.
I know we're like
that.
going over the time, but I want to know about your subconscious. Unleashing your subconscious. Okay. What is that?
That zipper open.
What's
zipper on the pillow's open?
Oh, I don't know. Unleashing your subconscious.
Subconscious manifestation.
Yes.
Okay. It's called To Be Magnetic. I'm like their spokesperson now because I love it so much. It's this woman, Lacey Phillips. It's an online course. She also has a podcast, I think, called To Be Magnetic. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it is. But the course, it's an online course where you basically do modules and journaling and then these things called deep imaginings, which are kind of like guided meditations. But the whole point of it is to connect to your like core individual being. I can't remember the term. Authentic self. Sorry. The whole point of it is to connect to your authentic self. So through like aligned action in the sense of saying no to things that like you might want to say yes to, but are they really exactly what you want? Like probably not. So why don't you say no to create space for the things that you really do want? For example, I'm putting this out in the universe because I truly believe it'll happen. A brand I work with did this whole thing with the Giants the other week. They were like, hey, we'd love to invite you for a VIP experience at the Giants game. We'll bring you onto the field. You'll like meet people, whatever. That to me is like partially exactly what I want to be doing, more aligning my work with sports. Like it's just an avenue I'm very interested in, but I fucking hate the Giants. And I was like, I'm sorry. No. Like, I know I would never wear Giants gear. Are you kidding me? Ever.
Oh my
Ever.
God. You have such a niche. This is so like mental health, parenting,
and sports, but not the fucking Giants. But not the Giants.
But they were like, you have to wear, we'll dress you in Giants gear. And I was like, thank you so much for thinking of me. But no, I would actually never wear Giants gear. However, let's make this happen for the Eagles. And like, I truly believe it will happen. So like,
would you do it for another team that wasn't
No, I wouldn't wear.
Okay, so we need a full-time job with the Eagles.
I wouldn't wear another team's gear.
I find it really weird.
This is Canadian. That's so un-Canadian of you because we'd be like, of course,
everybody. You guys are all amazing athletes. You've come so far. Good for you.
I would interview people, and I have respect for people of other teams, but I would never wear gear that's like not my team.
This is so American.
Do you have like a
difference between America and Canada?
Do you have a favorite football player?
No, like I don't care. Okay, I also need to make this very clear. I'm not like intensely watching every game, knowing stats, knowing plays. I just really love, I just love Philly sports. My parents grew up in Pennsylvania, as did my husband's dad. They actually all went to high school together. It's really fucking weird.
My husband went to Villanova.
Oh my God. So they're right there. Yeah. I hate the way I just said that. Oh my God. They all went to Harrison High School. So in Gladwin. So right outside Villanova.
Okay. So I this is really funny. Even when we watch sports in most of Canada, it's very quiet. Like everyone's very respectful. It's so
You're not
weird.
Come to my house.
My son went to an NHL game. It was like the playoffs, American, what are they called? Stanley Cup playoffs.
Stanley Cup.
And he was like, "This is the funnest thing ever," because people are trash talking and screaming. And
sports
yelling.
are so fun. I love sports. I love the energy, but it's more with the fandom. Like I think this ties more into my core trait of loyalty. Like I would just never do that.
Okay. So it's
loyalty. That's what it really is. Like I'm a very
subconscious.
Loyal
You're really checking what you love and what you don't love, and you're
so
okay to say no to the Giants, for example. Really cool,
making room for the Eagles.
Fuck no,
exactly. And so it's aligned action. It's figuring out your like core pillars of yourself. Like what are the things that are most important to you, and then these deep imaginings, which are guided meditations of sorts. That you're like envisioning yourself doing certain things, and in some way through the work that they've created this. It's tapping into your subconscious. I don't know if it's all fucking bullshit or if it's real, but I will tell you, I've noticed a huge difference. And so I'm just riding the wave.
Way to go.
We believed in it forever.
We would say yes to everything because if it was a trip somewhere, we'd be like, absolutely. And because the door might open, you might meet someone on the plane that you were meant to meet.
Gosh,
or,
right?
The
never know.
Sometimes we went on a cleansing trip. It was when it was.
What did we cleanse with tequila?
69. Remember we saw it was 69 everywhere.
Oh yeah. Why you say cleansing?
Because it's like we went and our energy came back and it was all different. We kept seeing the same numbers. Our seats were the same numbers. Our hotel room was the same number. Like it literally just.
That's weird.
It was the same number everywhere, and I had to look it up because I'm like Natalie, and then our room number, same number, and then our bill, all of our bills had the same number.
Maybe they wanted you guys to go 69 with someone.
I think that's exactly what they were saying.
96 or 69. I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, and our energy shifted from that trip.
I love that, but I'll say like the universe is universing. My husband actually hates when I say that. He told me the other day, but I don't care because I was invited, for instance, and this is the last example I'll give, but my manager texted me being like, hey, you got invited to this dinner on Tuesday. Like, I really think you should go. I'm not good about going to events. So I told my manager, I always need your input of like, is it worth my time or not? Because my gut is to always just be like, I don't want to leave the house. And she's like, I really think it's a good opportunity and you should go. And I was like, okay, I will go. She told me the location of it. The next day, my dad is FaceTiming me and he's like, have you ever been to this restaurant and had the burger? And I was like, no, I've never even heard of that restaurant. And then I was like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure that's where my dinner is this week. And I look and it is. So now in my head, I'm like, that's a sign that I should be going to this dinner. I will keep you posted. It's tomorrow. Maybe I'll meet someone that's very important that turns into something.
And you're going to the Eagles on field and you're the new
cheerleader.
Correspondent. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. Invite us to the game. We want to come.
I would love
We
to.
don't know how the game works. It just seems like a lot of whistles and tight pants, which I'm not upset about, but I have no idea. It's always on every Sunday of my life. I have no idea how the game works.
And Monday and Thursday.
Oh, my no.
And now some Fridays.
There's downs and there's touchdowns and they stop and they start.
It was the most exciting game ever of football on Saturday night.
Yeah, I loved that. You were out.
They all watched it. They went until 1 a.m.
Oh my God.
Some college football. Where can everybody find you?
On Instagram and TikTok, it's Cameron Oakes Rogers with no D. Aaron Rodgers ruined the way that everyone spells our name. And
that's ironic.
But Rogers is a big name in Canada, so we know how to say it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like our phone and our TV, Rogers.
Yeah.
Oh, well, everyone puts a D in it and it drives me insane. And my podcast is Conversations with Cam.
This was so fun. This went so long, which is in a good way.
I just have one last question.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, I don't really with male athletes, it's really about the way they look to me. And the football was on and Aaron Rodgers' face came on and
is Aaron Rodgers the girl reporter or the boy?
No. He's the guy quarterback for the Jets.
Who's Aaron? Isn't there another Aaron?
You're talking about Aaron Andrews.
Thank you. Same. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
And then, so Aaron Rodgers comes on and my son knows, I don't even remember telling him, it's like, there's your favorite guy. Not at all. I'm like, is this guy going to be done playing? I just have weird feelings about him. And mostly because I was a Bachelor fan and I saw his brother and I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I had to Google the whole thing. I'm like, why the fuck doesn't he talk to his family? That's just weird. They're such a close family with 3 boys. What happened there? So he gives me, so my son knows, like, there's your favorite guy. I'm like, guy, when is he going to retire? I don't know anything about him, just my perspective from The Bachelor. And I was just wondering, do you like Aaron Rodgers?
No, I'm not a fan.
Love that. Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Can't wait to go Google this now because I'm very confused.
Oh, I've got deets.
Okay. I can't wait. Well, thank you for joining us. Make sure you go and listen to our podcast. It was much more structured over on your platform. But, sometimes shooting the shit with cool people is something we all need to hear. And you had a lot of different perspectives. And we appreciate that so much on the digital world and how to handle. You actually really shed some light on that the bullying, the trolls, all the things.
Yeah. And I know that maybe Joe won't listen to this, but Joe, the universe is universing.
Yeah, Joe, and hopefully you give us great feedback. We'll give you our phone number. I hope you like it. He probably stuck to listen to us. Oh, okay. Yeah,
but he'll listen to you on mine.
Okay, good. Hopefully he likes to say where we need positive affirmation from only Joe.
Like Joe.
Only Joe, because he's not online. So only Joe. And he doesn't know who we are. So he's like, Joe, give us Joe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.